Hi, Craig. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to see you again. So I know Craig because I went to your event, which I don't usually do events. That's not my jam. But my publicist knows you're a publicist. We sound really bougie right now. But my publicist said you have to know about a product. And I'm like, I don't do that. I'm a therapist. And he's like, no. I know Raquel. She wouldn't tell me something was important for you to go to. So I go and I set in this amazing sound. I'm gonna have you describe it, but you came onto the scene in your like Matrix cool coat, and you had like all this fabulous energy, and you're like, let me tell you how I'm gonna change the world, because your title is you're a relaxation expert. And I'm like, you're speaking my language. Hi, Craig, let me into your world. So tell me about what the world needs to know about what it is that you're bringing to us to help us with anxiety, stress, trauma from COVID, like daily parking situations. What are you doing to change the world?
Road rage, traffic on your way, construction, changing construction routes. I mean, insert stressful situation here. Yep. And look, first of all, I appreciate all of that, including my Matrix-like gown, which that jacket is really something special. And it was a very special day. That was our media day. And it was an opportunity for us to really break out of our shell and talk to the world around what we're doing in a very public way, which we really haven't done to date. That was something that was very new for us, and really something that was exciting, that led to this fantastic relationship and many others as well. And yes, Raquel is exceptionally passionate, and yes, we do sound bougie with our publicists. But look, the reality is, in this day and age, if you want to get the word out, that's the way that you do it.
You got to get attention.
Yeah, so that we can focus on our core competency, which for you is obviously relationships and being a therapist, and for me, it's focusing on teaching the world how to relax, and doing so through sound and vibration. And a furniture manufacturing company that we have, which actually makes furniture that includes sound and vibration technology in it, that soothes and relaxes the mind, body, and spirit into a relaxed state. The technical term being a parasympathetic nervous system response, which is typically associated with cool, calm, and collected, like the Fonz, if you're old enough to remember the Fonz, right? Yes. Versus a sympathetic nervous system response, which is associated with stress and anxiety. Yeah. And you know this because you're seeing it in your clients all the time. And many of the folks that are listening know that we're all walking around triggered. Yeah. We're all walking around in a stressed and anxious state of mind for a variety of different reasons that vary from life to life and experience to experience. But nonetheless, too many of us are walking around stressed and anxious. And if you're walking around stressed and anxious, then your body is by default in a sympathetic nervous system response. And when you're in that sympathetic nervous system response, you are ill-equipped to handle the day-to-day trials and tribulations. And we all know this to be true, right? Like you wake up on the right side of the bed, and all of a sudden nothing can bother you that day. Right? Like the birds are chirping, the window's down, you hit traffic on your way that's not usually there, and you like crank the radio and lower the windows and enjoy the weather. That same scenario when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and all of a sudden you're triggered, you're stressed, you're anxious, your significant other said this thing that she said again, and right, like we're just walking around triggered. You hit traffic on your way, and it's like the worst thing that could ever happen, and you don't know how you're going to deal with this, and it sends ripples through your entire day. And what we do here at inHarmony Interactive is we teach people how to relax using sound and vibration. We create great technology and music that allows you to calm and relax your nervous system using soothing and calming sounds. And sound and frequency is very powerful. And most people discount or don't know just how powerful of an impact it can have on your demeanor and on your nervous system response, which is involuntary.
Yeah.
So
here's why it resonates with me as a couples therapist, because I could have people going, what? Huh? Who? Because when I have chaos in the outside world, right? The traffic jam, the parking situations, and we're not getting along because we've been trapped inside the house from COVID, or we got kids, or we have financial problems, or whatever that thing is. I've got chaos in the outside world and chaos in the inside world. If we're not working well as a couple, what are you going to do to alleviate that so that it doesn't end your relationship? And so when I saw that there's like this space that you can have inside your house, which is a chair, a table, and you can enter this world with headphones and like equalize your nervous system, how can that not help your relationship? Like when I talk to my clients, we call it flooding in the Gottman world, right? When my sympathetic nervous system is on high alert, you said something about me being just like your mom, or I didn't take out the trash again and I got nagged about it. And my sympathetic nervous system is high, and I'm telling my clients you need to take a break, because that's when you say the things that you can't unsay because your brain is hijacked, right? You're in survival mode. You're not in, let me be a conscientious person mode. And so if I'm telling my clients to take a break for a minimum of 20 minutes, what are you going to do for that 20 minutes? Most of us are not elevated enough to have a set of coping skills on hand because we're already like lost our mind. Your product is like the perfect place for me to make them do what I want them to do.
Yeah. You nailed it, right? I mean, look, I'm in a 15-year relationship. I have a 3-year-old. I have a business that's exploding. My wife works full time and also has a business that's exploding. Look, even since I saw you at that media day, my wife and I have had this incredible deepened relationship since I've seen you. We literally took a weekend and turned off the outside world. We still had our daughter, so we were kind of hanging with her during the day, but we were basically like, no plans. Nothing else happening. We're just going to drop in. We had a really intimate Friday night, which was beautiful. And that led and trickled into this beautiful 48 hours of us just being super dropped in with one another and sharing sound lounge sessions and sharing meditation. I'm lucky enough to have 2 meditation cushions in my house.
I would think you would have access to a couple. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Totally. Actually, at one point I had 3. My daughter, my wife, and myself would drop into meditations at the same time. My daughter is 3. She uses it on a regular basis also. Really awesome.
Yeah.
And you have to take that time and attention towards one another and make each other feel special. And I think that's really at the core of it. What do you do when you're triggered? Look, I trigger my wife. It's super easy for me to trigger my wife, not intentionally or unintentionally.
Our partners have access to our secret control panels.
Totally.
Yes.
We just know. And then frankly, there's other aspects to it, because I can only speak from my perspective. My wife will trigger me, and it's really easy for me to think she's doing it on purpose. And it's really easy for me to think that she's having her way with me. And then really what I come to when I'm in my meditative state, when I'm looking inward, is that there's something that I need to work on, that she is simply reflecting back to me that I need to do some work on. And I will go onto the sound lounge or the meditation cushion, and I will do that work. And I will
You're able to hold her in a positive perspective again because you got out of your story. You you had this space to kind of address the behavior, find some way to take responsibility for it that didn't feel like it was taking away too much from you. And I'm imagining that part of that is because the state that you put yourself in.
All right. So now we're starting to get really deep, Doc. And I appreciate this, because I just
you didn't
felt
think I was going to get away with just hey, here's this great thing. Craig, I'm going to bust a move on you. I'm going to ask for the deets.
I just feel all this emotion coming up over me because it's so important. Look, I'm with my wife 15 years, and I've known since the second day that I'm with her that she's the one. So the commitment that I have to this relationship is uncanny, and it is lifelong. And literally in my shower on my Aqua notes, I have written unconditional, or love unconditionally. And that is a reminder for me. It's not a note that I left for her, but it is a note that I left for me, that no matter what comes at me, I love my wife unconditionally. I love my daughter unconditionally. And that note is a reminder for me to think about what that really means. Unconditionally means just that, without condition. Means it matters not what she says to me. It matters not how she makes me feel. Now, I'm very lucky and my wife makes me feel amazing every single day. But just to say that I am here to stand by my wife and to love her unconditionally for the rest of my life. And that dedication and that commitment that I have is something that we need to revisit. Me and my wife need to revisit. So part of that intimate connection that we had was we went back and we watched our 1 hour wedding video.
Aw.
My father, our fathers, her dad and my dad were our officiants at our wedding. And
Aw.
they married us. And
Aw.
and we got to go back and watch our vows that we said for one another. And there were some aha moments in there where we were like, oh yeah, I've kind of vowed to always do this for the rest of my life. And we're like, yeah, okay, cool. Right. So it was just, again, this revisitation of that. And
So would you call your equipment a reset for your relationship? Look, I just came up with some new marketing for you. Feel free to use that.
it's all part of it, right? So look, my wife uses the sound lounge as often as I do. There are times where she comes home from a long day at work and loves telling me about it because I ask her about it. I don't want her not to tell me about it, even though I have told her that I'm tired of hearing about what's going on at work all the time. Right? Like, I want to create some space where, yes, it's very important for me to be a sounding board and to help you through your work stuff, but I've got busy days at work also. And I don't come and I don't ask her to tell me about it, right? But we use the sound lounge as a space to reset the energy before coming back into the house. So there are definitely times where I have my daughter and I'm playing with her from 4 to 6. My wife usually comes home because that's our schedule, and she'll take over from 6 to bedtime. And she'll send me a text and she'll say, hey, I really need a sound lounge session before I hang with you guys. And I'll take Harmony outside. We'll go for a walk down the street, give my wife space to come home in another direction so my daughter doesn't see her, because once my daughter sees my wife, it's lights out,
over.
right? But come in the house, get on the sound lounge, enjoy a session, and then, text me when you're up and about and we'll come home. And creating the space for her to do that, to have that reset, because we all have those scenarios where we're just driven batty, and we don't want to bring that energy back into the relationship, back into the home. And this is a great outlook. If you do sage, if you do Palo Santo, if you do energy work, if you can sit down and meditate, if you can put your feet in the grass, if you can do some breath work in the car, there are so many different ways that you can do this. For those of you that need a little bit more, pack a little bit more of a punch, the sound lounge is, there's really nothing like it. It shakes everything.
I'm not trying to make this sound like a sales pitch, but I really like it because it is in alignment with what I'm asking my clients to do. And if they don't do something healthy like this, the alternative of what I see is they don't feel like it's okay to take a break from their relationship because you haven't seen each other all day. You feel like you need to give each other quality time, but you're burnt out, right? And so instead of saying, I need to go take a break because that doesn't feel okay, they just check on their cell phones. Right. Yeah. And so that's like your way of getting some space. And so introducing into the conversation that, like, no, space is necessary. You need to transition from being super busy CEO or super busy whatever you do to then wanting to be present in your relationship, that this feels like a healthy way to manage that gap so that you're not doing something destructive to your relationship.
Or to yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I have friends or family that's like, well, I'm going to go outside and smoke a cigarette. Right. That's not helping your body. It's not helping your health. Or you dig back into your phone and you get back into emails for the work so that you can, right. That's that downward spiral of that type of energy. So I agree with you. Having that type of an outlet that does such a great job in resetting your energy, cleansing and clearing the body, the mind, the spirit, grounding you. We have a lot of memory that gets stored in our cells in the physical body. And vibroacoustic therapy, which is the body of research that kind of governs what we do, we literally shake every cell in your body. We're releasing those patterns, resetting the mind-body connection, grounding you into the current moment, sending messages to every muscle in the body, telling it to relax, shifting you from sympathetic to parasympathetic, helping with lymphatic drainage. There are so many different, decreasing recovery time after a workout, helping the body to recover faster, clearing and cleansing the mind, and straightening up that mental desk, if you will. There are so many different aspects, not to mention the intention that you set prior to your session and the outcome that that session yields in relation to that intention. It's uncanny. And this is the type of science and research that we're digging into right now, because we have all of these different tracks that are starting to come out now through our content creation. And we just released Inspiration. Let me tell you about this. It's a ballad. Like, you start this 23-minute session. It's literally called Inspiration in our app. And at the end of it, you can't help but come off the sound lounge or the meditation cushion inspired to get after whatever it is that you want to get after. It's really an uplifting, energizing, stimulating track. And I tell people, like, how do you feel now and how do you want to feel? That's the question you need to be asking yourself before you get on our tech. And whatever that answer is, the track that you choose will get you there. And you really can't go wrong, but there are certainly track names and intentions to help you along the way. But it's like simply sitting down and checking in with yourself, like, okay, I'm angry and not present, and I want to be happy and present at the end of this. And it's like, watch the magic unfold in that 22-minute session from where you were to where you're going to be. And now how you're going to show up in your relationship and how you're going to show up in life. It's like night and day. And almost to a point where here in my household, we actually have a safety word. And that safety word basically means do not pass go straight to the tech. I got this. And that's
you're in timeout, go.
And like, I love you and I appreciate you. And I think you need a break. And we all know you need a break.
Yeah.
Right? And this is just me recognizing that you need a break and giving it to you. Right.
Talk about what the break is, because, there's some of us that do meditation and those of us that understand kind of the science of what you're talking about, but it can also land for some people as a little woo-woo, because I'm a therapist and you're you, right? So what would you, because I can see somebody listening to this who doesn't know what you're talking about saying, is it like when I go to the movie theater and I'm sitting in a 4D movie and the seat is rumbling and I have like Dolby sound around me? Like, what is this you speak of, Craig?
Look, I think that's actually a great example. Here's the easiest way that I explain it to people. Music moves you. Whatever music you like moves you. And the music that I like may not move you, right? So it's this really funky thing when it comes to music, that the music that moves you. And when it comes on, you are just grooving. And that's the power of sound and vibration. And for you, it might be headbangers, rock and roll. I don't know, like whatever it is.
About me.
Totally, right? Like I could see that hair flying and getting going, right? Whatever it might be, right? It could be classical. It could be jazz. My dad, it's smooth jazz. I sit down in his car and it's like Yanni, and that's just his thing. He just loves it. It lights him up, right? For all of us, for me, it's deep house music and melodic house. For others, it's heavy metal. For Raquel, she loves metal, like loves it, right? And even when we drove down to Phoenix for the Super Bowl, and she's like, this is my music, and she starts putting on some of it. She's like, you don't really like this, and I'm like, I mean, I get it, I understand it. It's live music, and I like the band aspect, but like, no, this really isn't my thing. But for her, it's like drops her into that state, and she's just in a groove, right? So we all know the music that moves us.
Yeah.
Think of our technology as a delivery system for that music. Think of it like the movie theater, and that Dolby surround sound is fantastic. It's one of the reasons why that movies bring with them suspension of disbelief, right? The fact that you're inside the movie. Part of that is because of sound and lighting and the experience. But our technology is basically, it's like standing in front of a stack of speakers at a concert or a nightclub, only a fraction of the power and the energy, right? You're not getting blasted, but instead, each cell in your body is directly connected to the music. It creates because you're listening to the same music that you're feeling through the meditation cushion, through the sound lounge, through the practitioner, the brain creates this three-dimensional, fully immersive sound experience. The mechanoreceptors in your skin, which are pressure sensors in your skin, are sending the same message to the brain that your auditory nerve and your cochlea are sending to the brain. The technical aspect of this, to me, is incredible, and I can geek out with just about anybody, but I like to keep it really, really simple. When you feel a breeze moving across your hand, and for those that aren't watching the video, I'm kind of moving my hand over my arm. You don't register that as a breeze. So what's really interesting is that we have these receptors in our skin that send signals in changing of pressure. It's like when somebody touches your hand. The brain is simply getting that data. Your brain is just sitting in a black hole. It's coupled with the data coming from your eyes that shows a hand touching you. And you go, okay, Craig, your right hand is touching your left hand. Or a breeze that comes by, your eyes start to notice that the tree is moving and that your brain in real time is like, okay, there's a breeze and it's a cool breeze. And that all happens in like fractions of a second. But your brain is piecing together all of these different bits of data. The same thing is kind of happening when you're on our tech. You're feeling the same frequencies that you're hearing. The brain pulls this whole thing together as this immersive experience, very much like that Dolby Digital or Dolby Atmos movie theater scenario that you just put together. And it creates this three-dimensional, fully immersive experience. It really makes it feel as though your perception is that you're inside the music and that you are experiencing this music in a very unique way. And that's what kind of puts the brain on hold. That's what kind of sets you from that sympathetic to parasympathetic way, the stressed and anxious to calm and relaxed in a very unique way.
Yeah, no, as I think back to my experience of it, I do remember that there was some rain elements, and I just, like, as I was walking through, that's what I felt. I felt like I was walking on a journey, like I was on like a trip somewhere, almost like The Hobbit, like looking for the Lord of the Rings without getting wet. And I think there was like this sense of I had accomplished something, that there was like a journey that I was on, and that at the end of it, I felt the good parts, the exercise, the relief, but not the stress of what a journey like that might have been. And my brain was like picturing colors and visions, and it was a very cool experience. I mean, I really was grateful that I got to participate in it, because you guys are onto something pretty cool.
I really appreciate that. It's
Was
I
that
have a
supposed to
saying,
happen, or did I have like a weird seizure experience? Was that
no,
was that what?
that's
Okay.
exactly what happens, right? Look, meditation is a very weird thing. As somebody who teaches people how to meditate, and I do that through our technology, I talk to a lot of meditation instructors. I mean, like more so than most. Even most meditation teachers aren't talking to other meditation teachers; they're talking to their students or their instructor, right? I get to talk to a lot of different meditation instructors, and our meditation cushion is picked up largely by two main groups. The first is somebody like me that can't meditate or isn't able to sit down and meditate. I couldn't turn my monkey mind off. I couldn't stop thinking about the task list, the to-do list. You want me to sit in a corner for 10 minutes and I'm thinking about all the things I'm not doing, all the things I should be doing, all the things I could be doing. And I'm not thinking about allowing the thoughts to flow and just relaxing into that state of mind, right? And sound and vibration does something really well to guide you into that experience that you just explained really perfectly. The second body of that we kind of serve with the meditation cushion in particular is those that have been meditating every day for 20 years, 20 minutes a day for 20 years. Those folks get on our meditation cushion and they're dropped into that meditative place deeper and faster than they were ever able to go. If you've been in a float tank, it's been called by regular people who float the last 10 minutes of my float. Right? Because it takes time for the body to calm and relax. It takes time for the chemical cascades to kick in. And the manner in which that we do it is through a concept called hormesis. Are you familiar with hormesis?
Yes.
So I'm going to explain it for your audience, okay? So hormesis is, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples and you're going to, okay, cool, that makes total sense. Hormesis is through trauma, we get stronger. And most of the time that's mild trauma, right? I know, especially when you talk with folks that are looking for therapeutic support, many of us go through exceptionally traumatic things. And yes, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And this is part of that same that same thought pattern. So you go to the gym, you're lifting heavy weights, you're actually breaking the muscle and it rebuilds stronger, which is why you're sore. The sore part is it rebuilding itself. There's an entire concept built around this. And when you talk to anybody that has worked through their traumatic experience, they are grateful for that experience. How do you come to gratitude after something so horrific? It's because it builds you into the person that you are today. And what we're basically doing with our sound tech is we are putting yourselves through a mild trauma. We are shaking every cell in your body. Now, it's not perceived as a traumatic experience in any way, shape, or form, or scare anybody off on that concept. But at a cellular level, we are putting your cells underneath a little bit of stress, and they are then able to bounce back. So the chemical cascades that we trigger, and I use that word probably poorly, but in the chemical cascades that we induce, those chemical cascades are induced to protect the body, and they're induced to bring you from that sympathetic into parasympathetic to release you into that relaxed state of mind. And again, technology a lot of times is bringing us into this effect. Cell phones, the 1, 2, 3, 4 screens that I'm looking at right now, and all the electromagnetic energy that's coming off that, our bodies need to learn how to work through that and how to operate within that. And we can utilize technology to help trigger the right chemical cascades to bring us into that calm and relaxed state. And that's basically what we're doing.
Because we can get stuck there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's really what we talk about or think about with PTSD is you get stuck in that traumatic space and you can't sort of shake yourself free so that you can transition it to something that's not currently happening to you, and to have something that is carefully designed for the lighter trauma to kind of like get you back on course is going to do nothing but help you and help your relationship.
Doc, not only can we get stuck there, but some of us could actually start to fancy that nervous system response.
Yeah.
It becomes our identity. It becomes our reality. And for those of us that are unfortunately, and I say those of us because I used to be this way, when you're walking around in a sympathetic nervous system response from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, day after day after day, your hormones are dysregulated, your nervous system is dysregulated, your reproductive system, your immune system, your digestion, everything is dysregulated. Your body is not performing the way that it was designed to perform. Yeah. And therefore, you're going to be searching and pulling for answers in all these different places when the reality is all you need is that relaxed state of mind to release your body to operate the way that it was so magnificently designed to operate, and to spend more time in his parasympathetic nervous system response and less time in a sympathetic nervous system response. And you'll find over time, sometimes very short periods of time, that a lot of the symptoms and issues that you're dealing with just go away. And all of a sudden, look, when you're in a sympathetic nervous system response, you're not thinking rationally. You're literally, your ability to think rationally is turned off.
Yeah.
You don't need that in a sympathetic nervous system response, which is associated with fight or flight. Sometimes just turning on your ability to think rationally allows you to look at the situation in a whole new light and go, that's not serving me.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I can press on in the right direction. And sometimes that's all you need to make better decisions. You simply need the ability to make better decisions.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes we see ourselves making these self-deprecating decisions, one after another. And it's like, I don't know what I was thinking. Well, the reality is you weren't thinking.
Yeah, you weren't able. Your brain was hijacked by you being in fight or flight or freeze. Your heart rate goes over 100 beats per minute. Your lungs are taking in oxygen. You are functioning. It's not a cognitive problem when you're fighting for your life. You're surviving. So I think also this idea, again, that I think most of us struggle with is we all know that we need to take a break before we make these big decisions, but it feels like if we don't make this decision, our life isn't going to be okay. So you're sort of giving this concept that like, here's an alternative to making a bad decision, right? Like, you know that you need to take a break, go do a healthy break, then come back and you'll have some perspective about what to do.
Look, it's like sleeping on it, right? Like, look, before you make a big decision, sleep on it. Right. Like, and if you don't have time to sleep on it, the Sound Lounge is a great option as well. But like, before I make a big decision, I'll say to my wife, hey, let's talk about this. And let's look at the pros and cons and let's list it out. And then I'm going to sleep on it and let's see how we feel in the morning. Sometimes I'll sleep on things and then I won't even think about it in the morning. Like I'll go about my day and then my wife will say like, hey, what about that? Like we're looking at moving right now. I don't want to leave this house, but I'm on a month to month. And right now I don't want my my future focused in somebody else's hand. I'd rather get into a long-term lease, and an opportunity just came about for us to take a look at a very unique property. My wife just looked at it this morning, and I'm like, you know what? I looked at the property yesterday. I had a chance to sleep on it. I wanted her to see it. And now I know how I feel. And we just talked about it a little while ago, and we're going to make a decision together.
Yeah.
Right. But taking that downtime to give yourself an opportunity, look, that could be before a big board meeting. It could be before a big presentation. It could be before a life decision. Like, we're looking at what schools my daughter, and unfortunately, none of them are resonating with me right now, which is a challenge.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like, these are decisions that are going to affect potentially a lifetime. You want to make sure that you're coming from that in the right place, with the right nervous system response and that cool, calm, and collected head making rational decisions.
Well, I admire your enthusiasm. I definitely admire the energy that you bring to doing good things for the world. And I think this is like an invaluable tool for couples. So I have got on board with it. I think it's amazing. And I just wanted to kind of share for those of my couples that are more science-based, that you're bringing the science piece. You're also bringing the part where you're giving them permission to take breaks so that they can do better things for their relationships. And you're just genuinely a good person. So I'm really grateful that you were willing to come on and tell us more about it.
I really appreciate that. Passion is something that I have for this product. Look, we've been doing this for 6 years. We've been making, manufacturing, shipping, distributing these products for 6 years and innovating in the space.
Yeah.
It's something that Dom and myself are very passionate about because we use the technology day in and day out.
Yeah.
We love the community that we're building, and the more and more people that we get to share with this technology. You can take a look at our website. We're going to put a link down below.
Yep.
We're going to offer anybody who's listening today 90 days free of our app. So you get a full 3 months with our app at no charge, a full feature trial. There'll be some instructions on a website that we're going to link below. So you'll find a link in the description. And then, yeah, you can explore our website. You'll find on our website, we've got science and research page that details out 40 plus years of science and research. We're soon to launch our own science and research, our own data collection within our community. And that's one of the beautiful aspects of what we do, is that once you make your purchase, you actually get invited into a private Telegram group just for our users, where we can actually talk and talk openly around specific conditions and what you're working with and other recommendations. And you'll find a network of incredible human beings that just want to help and provide and share and participate in a really incredible and unique community that we're building, focused on biohacking and optimal human performance. And relationships is a big part of that. The relationships that we're in, not just our loving personal relationships, but obviously business relationships and relationships we have with siblings and family and everything else. So a lot of different aspects that this goes into touch. And I am super grateful for you taking the time and introducing us to your community. So thank you.
Yeah, I need all the tools I can get as a couples therapist. Trust me, my couples are overwhelmed. COVID has not been kind. Life is not easy. And to have more tools that I can give them to use at home that I know actually work is meaningful. And to know that it's coming from such a good place and from someone who genuinely wants to help make the world a better place is meaningful. So thank you, my friend.
You're very welcome. I appreciate that. Mental health right now is everything. And you're right. COVID and the pandemic was not easy on any of us for any reason. It put stress and strain on just about everybody's life. This continues to come up for me over and over and over again. The importance of focusing time and energy on mental health, not just for our loved ones and our relationships, but for our children and for the generations beneath us that are going to come in our footprints. My family just lost a 16-year-old to suicide. This just happened Saturday morning. And I am constantly reminded of the work that I do. The passion that I have for it grows with intensity day after day after day, because mental health is everything. And to go back to that meditation instruction, just for this one last point, just to wrap up, it's very difficult for an instructor to look at their pupil and know if they're getting there, right? Like, meditation happens in between your ears, in your head. And I can guide you there, but there's no guarantee that I'm going to take you there or that you're going to get to that same spot. So that second group of meditators that have the regular practice, that get taken to their place deeper and faster, oftentimes they go deeper and they're taken deeper into a meditative state because sound and vibration guides you there. It clears the way and clears the path. It distracts the mind into that deeper meditative state in a very beautiful way. So our technology can help to give you that rest and reset in a world where you don't think you can ever get that rest and that reset.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think is so powerful, is that our technology, that 22-minute session, creates the space for you to look at your life through a different lens, hopefully a lighter lens. So hopefully we can take negative experiences and make them neutral experiences and turn them to the positive, and even at best, take those negative situations and those negative memories and turn them positive. And that can mean the difference between life and death, and it can be the difference between a joyful life and a miserable life. And this is something that it just hits me. It's so important to me that more and more people understand the power that they have over their environment and over their outcomes, that we are not victims, that we instead can change the way that we perceive this life and this world, and we can live a joyful and fulfilling and life that's not filled with suffering in any way, shape, or form. And that's really at the core of what we do.
Control the things that you can control so that you can get clarity about the next steps.
Well said.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will talk to you very soon. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you and your team. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning into the D-Spot. Find me, Dr. Dana McNeil, and my guests on social media using the links down below. Subscribe for new episodes weekly and leave a comment letting us know how and if you can relate or what topics you'd like us to cover next. See you next time, and don't forget, go into therapy is cool.